Show, everybody. It's your boy, Ben Humble. I'm here on the Data and the Drama Show, and today is a very special show for me. I'm very excited here. I know we're starting a couple minutes late here, but we wanted to make sure we got everything right for you guys. Today, I'm talking about one of my favorite topics, which is faith. Faith, especially in business and life. And you guys know that I'm a big believer. I'm a born-again Christian. So today's the episode y'all been waiting for. Listen, if I offend anybody today, God bless you and have a great day. But today we're going to jump into faith. We're going to jump into business. We got some folks already in the stream here. I got a special guest of mine here today we were talking about. So do me a favor. We don't charge to do this show, but if you love it and you get some value, share it with a friend. Share the live stream and just tag a fellow entrepreneur. That would be awesome because we got a pretty amazing guest here today. And if you guys are in Canada looking to get involved in real estate, go ahead and grab a copy of Real Estate Secrets Exposed. It's an absolutely free book we just put out there on humble.ceo. So check that out. My guest today is an amazing dude. Listen, he's another one of my immigrant brothers. And I got a soft spot for immigrants, man, because we come here with a certain gusto. We come here with a certain mindset. And my man was born in Mexico, immigrated to the United States. He's got an amazing journey. In fact, there's a lot of similarities between what we kind of went through growing up. But what happens is you develop this kind of, faith or fear mindset, and you got to pick one in life. And my man has absolutely grabbed the faith by the horns. So I'm really excited to have my brother here, getting to know each other. And my man, Mr. Carlos Reyes, in the house. The dude got going, man. He quit his corporate job, after working there for over a decade. And they built an amazing movement. So what I'm really interested in is focusing on the faith and the movement for the All In. If you guys know these guys that All In, it's amazing. They're out in Phoenix, Arizona, and they have got a real estate company. They've got an education company, a whole bunch of different companies. So Carlos is a straight up entrepreneur. So we got him on the show today. I'm very excited. So let's bring him in here without any more delay. Carlos, man, welcome to Data Drama Show. Good to see you, my brother.
My brother, thank you so much for having me on, man. It's already fun. I love your intro. I love the energy. I love the story, right? So I'm honored. I know that we have a mutual, really good friend, Jalen White. Before this whole thing went down, me and Jalen I rented a beachfront property, and him and his wife came over for a few days. And, he's been just a brother to me. We started real estate together. I don't know if he told you that.
Yeah, he did.
Right. We know each other literally from the gutter of, putting out bandit signs and, in the trenches, going door to door, pre-foreclosure knocking. I mean, everything you can think of. Right. And hey, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Right. I don't want people to think like immigrants that we have an advantage over other people who are non-immigrants. But I do want people to know is that we take advantage of every opportunity that is given to us. And we do have an X factor. We have an X factor. And that's what a lot of people take for granted. A lot of folks grow up with, I mean, not a lot of folks, but, they got mom and dad. That's a blessing.
Yeah.
That's
amen.
A blessing. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Right.
Yeah.
That's an absolute blessing. I don't know how you grew up and what your household looks like, but I grew up with a single mother who never made more than $8.25 an hour. I just posted something on my Instagram today. My Instagram is at Carlos Reyes. I believe it or not, I own my own, name, which is very difficult to do these days, right? Right? You know how that
I'm going to
goes.
give you the drum roll on that piece. Yeah, I get that, man.
You,
a lot of Carlos Reyes is out there.
So what I want people to know is if people like you and I can become successful, that lets you know that success does not discriminate. It doesn't know where you come from. It doesn't know. Hold on. Are you still on there, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I got you.
Yeah. It doesn't see your skin color. It doesn't see religion or political views. All success gives two shits about is, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to commit to being successful? And are you willing to not give up no matter what obstacles, come across you, right? Whatever speed bumps are sent your way, can you overcome those obstacles? Here, I'm going to show people just for a little bit of credibility, because that's what.
Show us, man. Show us the X factor.
So
there you go.
So here's my baby, right?
Yeah.
Here's my baby. It's, as you can see, when someone doesn't really take care of their car, you'll have shit marks, right? From pigeons, again, I got a guy that comes over to the house and I'll get that. And
Dude, I love
he
it.
washes
I gotta
the car
drop
every week.
I'm gonna drop this for you right here. No, it's right here. Where is it? Okay, that's just for you. That's how you're rolling up sometimes. We're gonna jump into this stuff. We're gonna jump into this stuff, guys. Real quick, Carlos, before we get rocking with everything, I'm gonna hit you with a joke of the day, and then we'll jump into the meat and potatoes. Is that cool, my brother? Let's get with the joke of the day.
I like meat and potatoes.
Let's go. And I got some stuff for you, by the way. Here we go. There we go. That's how my boy rolls up right there. Hey, who is the greatest money man in the Bible? I'm gonna ask you and the folks at home here as we get going. Greatest money man. Simple. You know? Who is it?
Is that supposed to be a hard question?
It's a joke, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, King Solomon was the wisest king and the most financially successful king. But let's hear the joke.
Here's the joke.
Those are facts, but let's hear the joke.
Oh, here's the joke. Who is the greatest money man in the Bible? The joke is this. It was actually Noah, because he was floating his stock while everyone else was in liquidation.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh shit.
Dude, that joke, that laugh is hilarious. All right, let's hit the data drama. This is the segment of the show real quick where I ask you some questions. You tell me if it's data drama, and folks at home are going to guess with us. Would you think, data or drama, true or false, Disney Plus streaming has doubled its subscription since COVID-19 lockdown?
Facts.
Facts? Folks at home? Facts? Y'all sitting home watching Disney? It's true. Disney streaming has doubled its global subscriber number to 50 million since COVID. Amazing.
Jesus Christ.
Crazy, right? Okay.
It's not crazy. And I know you got a lot more coming, but let me tell you this. Where some
Go ahead.
Okay,
Where some what?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep. I got you. You still there?
Hello? I think I'll just mess my whole show up. Hey, brother, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, man. Okay, talk to me.
Hello?
Yep, I'm here. Okay, this data drama is a little bit drama right now. Let's bring Carlos back in. Looks like we lost him in here. Okay, folks at home, here's the next one here. Data drama. Looks like Vinny's got a total mortgage forbearance. Okay, jumped from 2.73 to C. Did it go 26% of people not paying? Is this data or drama? What do you folks think? That's actually data as well. According to the Mortgage Bankers Association, 26% of people are also not paying. All right, Carlos, you're back, man. You're back in the show.
Yes. All
okay.
Right. So what a lot of folks need to realize, going through this financial crisis, this pandemic, is some companies are freezing and running for the hills. Plenty of companies are thriving through this blip in the economy. And we can get into that. We'll definitely get into that, because we have 25 different businesses where one of them was completely shut down, lost hundreds of thousands, and another one we completely froze, which was a solar company, because our solar company consisted of a lot of door knocking and things like that. But our real estate company is thriving. Our medicalsurplus.com company is thriving. So this is what I'm saying. These days, man, multiple streams of income are no longer a luxury, or they're actually a necessity. Because of when something like this goes down, you got to be able to sustain through whatever companies are thriving. That's why you can't put all your eggs in one basket. But we'll get into that later, man. Go ahead.
No, I love it. No, this is the topics we're talking about, man, because right now times are tough. People don't really know, what to do. A lot of fear in the market. I want to talk to you about faith, brother, because if you could start us back a little bit, man. Start us back with your story real quick and just give us a sense of where you come from and what kind of mindset you developed. If you don't mind, let's go deep right quick for these folks.
Brother, let me tell you this. I come from like dirt poor Mexico, where the streets are literally made out of dirt. If anybody's ever been to a small town called Guaymas, Sonora, which is right next to a tourist town called San Carlos Bay, Sonora. I'm from Guaymas, Sonora, where literally our houses are made out of, I don't even know what to call it. What do you call those? Like, would you say it's not mud? Come on, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's not. No, it's like almost like it's not cardboard. It's a little thicker and better than cardboard. But I'll tell you what, I remember the house that I grew up in, which was my grandma's house. Literally, the freaking kitchen was made out of dirt. And then if you go into the living room, I had a bed, my brother had a bed, my grandma and grandpa had a bed, and my mom had a bed. And it was about 200 square feet. There was cement. And then we had a bathroom, where you couldn't take craps in there. You can only shower out of a bucket, right? And then in the backyard, that's where we washed our clothes on a washboard, and then we hung it up on these like strings or whatever, wires. And then we had a back house. You literally crapped into a hole. And, every now and then my grandpa would have to set fire, depending on how my grandma was feeding us. That's a joke, by the way. You can hit the.
I got you on this stuff. Come on, man.
So.
There you go.
Oh, you got the Okay.
I got
Mexican meals, right? Thank you.
I got it for you, man. I got the rig. Keep going. That's a good story.
You came prepared. So,
yes, sir.
That's how we grew up, brother. Like, the streets were made out of dirt. Poverty. See, in Mexico, what people don't realize is you're either rich or poor. There's no middle class in Mexico. In America, you have middle class. You have people that make anywhere from $40 to $50 to $60,000 or $80,000, a year. Over in Mexico, brother, you're either really well off or you're dirt poor, like dirt poor. Right. You're literally having to make tortillas to eat, and you're eating literally eggs, beans, tortillas. That's it. That's on the menu Monday through Sunday, bro. There's no, there's no Mastro's, steakhouse. No, none of that was happening back then. We didn't have a car. There's no car. We rode the bus. We rode the freaking, and the buses in Mexico, brother, are quite disgusting. They're not like the buses here where you have air conditioning and all that, Over there, the windows are cracked and everybody's sweaty in there. I would almost consider Mexico a third world country, to be honest. It's pretty borderline. Would you say so?
Yep. So what did this
borderline.
Do? What did this do to you when you grew up in this environment, man? Because I grew up in something, similar, not quite as bad, but Romania was pretty bad during communism, right? And that's where we grew up. Like, what did this do to you as a young boy? What kind of mindset did this develop for you?
I became a fucking lion. Like, I became a wolf. My first entrepreneur job, I was 5 years old, and I was selling door-to-door bread. I was selling bread door-to-door, okay?
Okay.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I was 5 years old watching the Power Rangers back then. Remember the old school Power Rangers?
Yes, I do.
I'm watching the Power Rangers at the one friend that had a television, because nobody had a television in the neighborhood. This one friend had a television, and his mom would make bread for all the kids, us kids that would gather there. And then one day, my 5-year-old butt or entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, asked this lady if she can make enough bread for us to sell in the neighborhood. At 5 years old, I requested that, and this lady, she started making, I remember the first summer we did this, she made more bread, and we all started going door to door, and we would keep 50% of the profit. It was a partnership, right? She would provide the bread and we would provide the labor. And at the end of the day, we'd come home and give her the bread that was left over and give her 50% of the profit that we sold. So that was my first entrepreneur venture ever in my life. So growing up like that, you come to America, and I'm in a freaking Rolls Royce right now, right?
Yeah.
And you see asphalt on the streets, and you see beautiful buildings. When I first came to America, brother, I had never seen healthy grass. I came to America, and the first thing I did was go sit on the grass and just like adore the grass. Because in Mexico, I'm telling you, man, it was dirt and rocks.
Right.
Dirt and rocks. You could not imagine the type of. You ever seen that movie Slumdog Millionaire?
Sure have, bro. Sure have.
We were pretty damn close to that kind of poverty level, and that's okay, because you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I would not be in the situation, in the position that I'm in right now, if it wasn't for that X factor that I had, which was poverty, which was adversity, which was literally wanting to do better for myself and for my family, my single mother and my brother and my sister. And now, you know, the rest is history, man. Like, I've worked my ass off. I paid my dues. I've worked from eyes open to eyes closed. Everybody talks about working from sun up to sundown. No, brother, eyes open to eyes closed. I've worked circles around plenty of people, and even to this day, people cannot keep up with my speed. Even to this day, we have God knows how many team members, you know, that work in our organization. When I catch somebody like playing video games or not working as hard as they should, or, you know, I smell that like a shark. A shark just smell blood from a mile away. Yep. I smell that because I expect people in my organization to keep up with the speed that I have. And those are my expectations and my standards for every single one of my colleagues and team members.
I love it. So let's talk about that, man, because I had Judge Graham on here last week, and he's the speed guy, right? Scale with speed. And I get this, man. And I believe when you come from an oppressive situation like for me, communism, like you, dirt poor Mexico, it really develops your character from a young age. So what other people fear to us is just a challenge, right? So people are like, oh my God, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of this. I'm like, nah, man, that's just another barrier. That's just another door that I got to open. Just nobody's going to open it for me. So go ahead, man. Jump in.
I got you. I love this. I love what
Let's
you
go.
just said. Let me tell you why. You know, a lot of people, the reason why they don't live the life of their dreams is because they never take a risk. They never take a risk. But us immigrants, right? Brother, I came into this country illegally. I took a risk coming into this country illegally. The first time that I tried to come into this country, my mom was bringing us through a sewer system in Tijuana, Mexico. So that was the border of Tijuana and Mexico and San Diego, right? Yep. That was a risk. The second time I came into this country, I had to sneak into a freaking fence. That was a risk. Do you think I haven't built up the skin or the mindset or the backbone to take risks? That's one of the biggest advantages that we have when you grow up taking risk. It's nothing to take these kind of risks, to invest this much money into some.
Yeah, so you're breaking up a little bit here, Carl. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. So talk to me. So it's nothing to take risks when you're used to taking risks as a little kid and you come over here. So how many times did it take you to come to the U.S.? Because you obviously fled over here. 2 times?
Twice,
man. You finally made it over here, right? Yeah, so let's keep going down this narrative here because, folks, I think...
I'm actually in the office, which is good because I'm going to be able to...
All right.
To chill out, right? So,
yeah, and just so we know, folks, in all fairness, we're at Eastern time. Yeah, I can hear you, man. We're at Eastern time, and Carlos is not on Eastern time, so the time got switched a little bit here on going live here. But what it does is it creates this whole environment of, okay, let's give risk greater perspective. Am I right? So when you give risk greater perspective, folks at home, trying to understand what does risk actually mean? You see, a lot of us are afraid to invest in real estate and business because we're so concerned with perhaps what people are going to think about us. We're so concerned perhaps of losing money. We're concerned with a lot of these things that when you really think about it, like Carlos, where he's coming from, it's a first world issue. Like we're afraid of first world problems like bankruptcy. You see, the truth is, folks, when you look at it from a point of non-emotional context, you recognize that people from places like Romania and Mexico, bankruptcy is not even an option. Like that's a luxury of the middle class. That's a luxury of the first world economy that you have a structure where there's an actual floor. You see, just like the floor that Carlos didn't have, he had a mud floor or a dirt floor. We actually have a real floor. Carlos, you back here?
Bless you. We should be good. I'm in the office now.
Okay, beautiful. Carlos, I'm just touching on something. I want you to jump in here. A lot of us are so afraid here in the first world economy because we've got first real first world solutions and problems. So for example, like I'm afraid to invest money because my friends will think I'm whatever. I'm afraid of losing money and going bankrupt. I'm afraid of all this stuff. But what they don't realize is that that's a first world luxury to be afraid of people, what they think about you. You've got a floor in Canada and the US. You got bankruptcy. You've got government subsidized food. You've got government subsidized housing. You can't die taking a financial risk here. But in back home where you literally don't have a floor, when you go to these extremes, like in communist Romania or dirt poor Mexico, you can't rebound. So the truth is the things that you're afraid of is a luxury. You're afraid of the things that some people only wish they could be afraid of. So talk about that, Carlos, man, because I know you feel that way.
Yeah. So let me tell you this, right? I have two daughters. I have a 7-year-old daughter and I have a 1.5-year-old daughter. And excuse me, one of my fears is, okay, so I had adversity. And that really molded me, right? The fire literally molded me into, who I am today and the drive that I had, the commitment that I had, right? And it was a driving force. Adversity was my driving force, but then you have to think about, okay, my daughters they're American, right? And they have everything they ever needed, right? We live in a nice 4,500 square foot estate, an acre plus. They have everything. Mom has the brand new extended Escalade and all that. So my daughters have everything they need, right? So then you begin to wonder, okay, so what can I give them? Because they're not, God willing, they don't have the adversity that I had to deal with, but what can I do for them to make sure that I can put them in a position to be successful? Correct? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Keep going.
Okay.
What can you do to put them in a position to be successful?
The one thing that a lot of people fail to do here in America is they fail to program their children, and setting them up for success, right? If you ever read my favorite programming mindset book, it's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It's by T. Harv Eker, by far my favorite, programming book that's out there. There's a lot out there, right? The Magic of Thinking Big, Think and Grow Rich, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, by far, that changed my entire outlook on life. That changed my entire life. So what I have to do, and if there's any parents out there that are listening, or even people out there, young entrepreneurs that are coming up in the game, change your programming, right? Brother, I had not read a book, a business book or an entrepreneur book until literally 5 years ago. 5 years ago is when I read my first entrepreneur book. Didn't give two shits. Why? Because we don't know any better. Coming up the way that we come up, right? Whether it's in a neighborhood, a low poverty neighborhood, or mom doesn't have the right programming. What does she know about business? My mom never made more than $8.25 an hour. She still doesn't speak English to this day. So I didn't have the right programming as a young entrepreneur to start, looking into the game of wealth, right? Start educating myself in the game of wealth, the game of self-mastery, self-education. I didn't have these things told by my mother, right? So these are things that I'm going to be able to, God willing, brother, I'm already teaching my kids, I'm already teaching them, not my 1.5-year-old, but my 7-year-old. I literally have her look in the mirror and tell herself things like affirmations, like you're beautiful, you're intelligent, you're loved, and you're a great person. You see, like these little things that nobody, did you have your parents or your parent tell you things like that, like program you a certain way, or this is something that you had to develop by yourself?
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.
See, for me, I was very fortunate because my parents, we've been with me and they were great examples my whole life growing up. So even though we grew up in a communist country, my dad made a decision one day, said, you know what? I don't accept communism. I'm running. And he literally fled across the border in the middle of the night, with armed patrol everywhere. He had to leave 2 kids behind, and it took us almost a year to get reunited. But he said, I want more for my children than what's here. So I was very, very blessed to have children, to have parents like that. And I believe it's about the nurturing environment. But you know what? If you don't have that growing up, Carlos, it's a choice, brother. Like at the end of the day, we can decide to become a victim of our circumstance, or we can take control and make a decision. And until we make a decision that we want more and we pursue that, guys, you're never going to get there, and girls, because the truth is you got to believe it's possible. You got to believe in more. So talk to me about faith, brother. A lot of people, they struggle with this concept of faith. And this is something that's important to me, and we share this commonality. Why faith, man? Why choose to believe in something bigger?
Do you remember when God used to actually directly talk to servants, to Moses, to David, to Solomon, right? To kings and servants from the prophet Nathaniel, all these from back in the day, right? Well, God still talks to people through utterance, through not only through the word, right, the word of the Bible, but he still speaks to people through the heart, through the mind, through utterance. And I can tell you this, my mom, just like your dad was fleeing communism, my mom was fleeing my father, who was abusive, right? My father, if we would have stuck around, I think we would have, he would have definitely killed us. My mother fled my father because he would come home, coked out of his mind, drunk out of his mind. He would look under the bed and then like, where is he? And blah, blah, blah. And my mom has her, 2 children, me and my brother, and we're like 3 and 1 years old. And then he would just like beat the shit out of her, like literally physically harm and abuse my mother. One time, this was the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. We were literally in bed, and he pulls up and he starts doing his psycho stuff. I'm about 3 or 4 years old. He puts me and my mother against the wall, and he starts shooting at us. He literally starts shooting at us, right? And that's when my mother fled to my grandma's house, hid me and my brother at my aunt's house. She left to California because she's like, if I stick around, like this man's going to kill me and kill my children, right? Mm. So, all my life, I didn't have a physical father, but I had a heavenly father, right? Yeah. I started talking to my heavenly father when I was 5 years old. I remember clearly having conversations, talking to him like he was just my dad, literally talking to my heavenly father, the creator, like he was my father. And brother, I can tell you that he's led me. This is the only time that, the sheep got away from the shepherd was when I had, once I got a little older and I was in my teens, I kind of started like, being rebellious towards the father, right? All my life, he protected me. All my life, he provided me with everything I needed. And I remember, literally just getting away from my faith and getting away from my father, from my heavenly father. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try to do this my way. I'm done kind of talking to you and you telling me where to go and what to do. I'm going to do this my way. I can tell you that was the worst decision I've ever made in my life. Once I made that decision, brother, I started, from like 17 or 19 years old, I started partying. I never did hard drugs, it was just like alcohol and weed and women. My downfall was alcohol and women. It wasn't even weed. I barely smoked weed back then. So it was alcohol and women, right? Mm-hmm. Lust was a huge thing for me. Doing these things. Why? Because I no longer was feeding my soul like I used to. I was literally feeding my flesh, right? It was all about my flesh. What can Carlos get for the flesh? And I went through a lot of hardship because I chose to not comply with what God wanted for me and my purpose, right? I always knew what he wanted from me. I always knew that. So when I got away from him, my mother in 2005 fell into drugs. She started smoking glass. I don't know if you know what glass is. It's like a meth, a version of a meth, right? Methamphetamine. Okay. And she started smoking glass. And then, my brother got into drugs, and, I was like the only one that was still sober, and I was still the one that was pushing through. My mother didn't. If you look at the time frame, I came back to the Lord. And so I had my first starter in 2012, and I started slowly coming back around to the Lord. 2014 is when I really started to recommit. I started recommitting to the Lord. And then, brother, I remember 2015, I said, hey, you know what, Father, I'm done. I'm fully surrendering. I'm done doing the things that I want to do. I'm done doing the things my way. Let your will be done. I'm in full surrender mode. I remember, I got baptized. I became a small group leader to a church. I became literally a loyal church attender, and then I started tithing. Once in 2018 is when I would always give like $500 here, $300 here, blah. I started tithing in 2018, and that changed my entire life. Also, I can tell you this. I'm gonna sum this up for you. Okay, you ready?
Let's do it.
If it's easy to not follow God's law and God's path, it's easy, right? Because we say, hey, screw that. I'm doing it my way, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to not follow God's path, but then life becomes really hard. I'm talking from experience. It's hard to follow and surrender to God's will, but then life becomes very easy. I now have 25 successful businesses. I have a loving, beautiful wife who also attends church with me. I have 2 amazing daughters. I am not in need of anything. I have my health. I have my family. I have the Lord. I have everything that a man could ever need, right? So why? Because I made the difficult decision of surrendering to God. And I'm going to tell you, man, it's not easy. 9 out of 10 people cannot do this. Yeah. So now that's why if you ever look at my Instagram profile, I consider myself a marketplace disciple, because when you surrender to the Lord, all God ever wants from you is for you to be a disciple, for his kingdom. Kingdom first, advance the kingdom of the Lord here on earth. So I became a marketplace disciple. And when I started serving the Lord, brother, I'm telling you, my cup just overruns. Oh, brother, my cup overruns to the point where a family member is like, hey, man, it's somebody that I trust, obviously. Hey, can I borrow $3,000, $5,000, whatever? Where it's like, here you go. Don't worry about it. My mother, everything's taken care of her. She doesn't pay one bill. I mean, I pay from her mortgage to her telephone bill. You see, she doesn't pay one bill. My internal family, which is my wife, stay-at-home mom, she runs one of our other businesses. It's a diabetic business. It's not even the medical business. It's another business that we've had for 4 years. She stays home. She's mom. My daughters don't need anything. Like, God literally provides. Like, he provides everything. But that's because I chose to be obedient, which is the hardest thing in the world, man.
Yes, it is.
I'm telling you.
Right.
And it is. It is. It's hard to surrender to the Lord fully. You know what I mean? That means no lust, no cheating, no stealing, no lying, right? None of these things. Like, you have to live according to God's will. Like, what does God want from me? Before I even come to work, I've already prayed 3 times. And the best prayer that I have is right before I come to work. I literally always remind the Lord, hey, I am your vessel. I am your servant. Let your will be done and not my own.
I love it. Dude, it's such a powerful, willingness, obedience, and powerful conversation about just living in that anointing. The truth is, folks, for those of you guys at home, and we're being very open here today, is that you're absolutely right. When a lot of people live in fear, they're trying to look internally to find faith or to other objects or to things of this world. The reason why we don't necessarily, or I don't personally struggle with a lot of worldly things, is because I just have a different solution for my problem. I just trust in God that he's going to take care of all this stuff. So even in the middle of COVID, in the middle of difficult situations, I just have a different solution. I'm not going to alcohol and this and this and this to find the answer. I'm just going somewhere else to the cross to find the answer. And what's beautiful about this testimony, because that's what this is. This is a straight up testimony of a man whose life was changed and altered. And every one of us has a calling over our life. That's the truth. Whether you believe it or not, you have a calling which is tied directly to your purpose here on earth. So if you struggle to identify what you're here for, it's time to meditate and pray on it. But the truth is, you coming here without a father, which is such a beautiful story, because what happens is, in a way, you've become a father to so many other young men through and I've been following your movement here, the All In movement. And there's so many young men that are positively impacted by the work and the seeds that you're planting. So talk about that, man. Yeah, please tell us about that. I think that is so Again, it's just so amazing how you can take something that in some cases would be thrown away or discarded, but it becomes such a massive impact. Refer to that, man. I'd love to hear the story here with that.
So let me say this, right? This is something that one of my mentors taught me. Man's confidence in himself, right? It just reflects the confidence in his creator, right? That's a very powerful thing. I have the utmost confidence in my creator, okay? And listen, for me, it's very easy to be a role model. Why is that, right? It's not easy to be a role model. When you have hundreds of thousands or thousands, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yep.
Thousands of eyes are looking at you every single day, what you do, what you say, how you treat your family, how you treat other people. They look at your level of humility. They look at your heart. Your ability to give. Except you have to, it's literally, brother. Whether you believe this or not, it's almost like mom and dad, right? The children, and I'm not calling any of the people that follow me or anything children by any means. I'm just using it metaphorically. The folks that follow me, they look at me like they will look at mom and dad. When you're a role model, they say and do, and the energy is, you transfer that energy and you transfer that influence and that motivation. So it's like a lot of role models, that are POSs, like let's just say role models in Hollywood, right?
Sure.
They're like, oh yeah, he's my role model, and then the guy gets caught with hookers and coke, right? It's very easy because again, it's different. It's easier to be a role model when you're already on God's path because you're already walking that path and you're already walking that line.
Yeah.
So it's easy to stay, right? To consistently be that person to a bunch of other people that happen to see you as a role model. So that makes it that much easier when you are following God's path. It's so much easier to be a good lead by example role model to many others. It's that much easier. I believe me when I tell you this.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I heard from my pastor a number of years ago. He said that your story is the most important thing that you have because your story is what tethers you to another human being. So every time we look at our own story and we just think like, I can't believe I went through this and I feel this and I feel that. The truth is that story can be so impactful to somebody else who's going through a similar journey. And when you got a story like yours, man, coming from oppression, coming from so many difficult life circumstances, people look at you and say, you know what, I feel bad for that guy. But the truth is, there's nothing to feel bad about. See, it's a glorious thing to be able to take a story and turn it into abundance, go from scarcity to abundance. And then that abundance becomes abundance for so many other people. So, man, what do you say to people who are maybe in a position, who are feeling struggle, are feeling the oppression right now? They're scared. They're scared because of the world events, the news, COVID, all this stuff. What do we do? What can they do to start changing their life? Really?
Listen, I don't ever want to, and it's tough, right? Because the more God is putting me on a platform and he's scaling me at a just crazy speed, right? And I don't want to ever be that person that's somebody, because brother, one of my most beautiful emotions is humility. Have you ever do you remember yourself the last time?
You mean humility? Humble? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Do you remember the last time that you truly helped somebody and it touched your heart? How amazing, how beautiful that felt, how alive that made you feel, right? Some of the highest frequencies of energy and emotions is love, gratitude, humility, right? This is what makes you an amazing, it just makes you feel just great. And then you attract those things, right? There's real energy in the world, in on earth. So the one thing that I want to tell a lot of people is this. Yes, with God, all things are possible. And you have to take your faith off of yourself, or you have to stop being codependent on other human beings, right? Why not go straight to the source? Why not go straight to the creator, right? Why not go straight to the God of gods, right? And if you resort to Matthew 6:26, he literally says this, for people out there that are feeling hopeless, for people out there that are in fear with the pandemic, this is one of my favorite verses of the Bible, right? Matthew 6:26. He says, look at the birds. They don't plant or harvest or store food in barns, for your heavenly Father feeds them. And aren't you more valuable to him than they are? See,
Beautiful.
if you even read, like, this is my journal. This is my journal here. And as you can see, I got Philippians 4:1-3 there. I can accomplish all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? This is what people need to understand is this isn't about religion. Like, God didn't create religion, right? The God of Abraham, the creator of creator, I am Jehovah, right? He didn't. These are different names that are, Yeshua, Emmanuel, Jehovah, the God of Abraham, I am. What does it mean by I am? For those of you that don't know, I am means I am a part of everything. God is in you. He is part of us. Like I am, he's in here. He's part of us, right? He's part of everything, every living thing in the world. I am. That means he's omnipresent, omnipotent, right? He's everywhere.
Yeah.
So folks need to understand that they need to resort to the highest of the highest. If you put your codependency on the government, if you put your codependency on a job, if you put your codependency on mom and dad, you're setting yourself up for a big letdown. If you put your codependency and your faith and belief in the creator, the creator of the universe, the God of gods, and the Lord, our heavenly Father, I promise you, when shit goes south like it has today, brother, I can tell you this. I don't know if some of my team members are here. One of the leaders of our organization is here. My business partner and I, our faith is so strong that we were like, hey, how can we capitalize off these circumstances?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh man, let's lay everybody off. We haven't laid off one person. We haven't laid off one person. We haven't cut one person. Okay. Yeah. That wasn't what God told us. That's the thing, right? Brother, I have such a great relationship with the Lord that he communicates with me. We were throwing this event, and you can ask these guys too. March 13th and 14th, everybody, and that was close to, remember the whole pandemic was starting to take off mid-March, right? Yep. And everybody was telling me, even one of my spiritual mentors called me and said, hey, brother, are you still going to have that event? There's people coming from everywhere, New York, Seattle, Florida, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you're putting a lot of people at risk. Are you still going to have this event on March 13th and 14th? What is the Father saying to you? I said, you know what? His name is Christian. I said, you know what, Christian? The Father's telling me with all certainty that we need to make this event happen because we don't know when we'll be able to make another event possible. Boom, we had the event. And right on March 16th, on that Monday, they announced that you couldn't have 10 or more people in a social gathering. So the Father communicated with me that with all certainty, you need to have this event. You know how many people got sick from that event?
Tell me.
As far as COVID, zero. Zero people. There was 2 scares that we had, Amy, and then she ended up testing negative, and then there was this other gentleman, and he ended up not having COVID. Again, you guys have to understand that God isn't a man that's going to break his promises. If he tells you to do something, you need to obey with all certainty. And that's exactly when you're walking in full surrender. That's exactly in any community, brother. Let me ask you this, man, because you're touching on this topic. I want to go back for a moment. So you're talking about tethering your reality, right? So when people tether their reality to things here. So for example, I'm a guy, I work, I get a job, I tether my entire identity to that job. When I lose that job, I get depressed. Or I have a relationship as a young person and I tether my entire identity to that relationship, or I tether my identity to my job, my family, literally anything in this world that you tether your reality to, the moment it gets broken, diseased, or dies, you're now in a depressive state. The truth is the only thing I tether my reality is to my faith in God. That's it. Because when things happen in this world, I recognize we live in a broken world anyways. So one of the things that really help people fight through the fear, the scarcity, the COVID, all this stuff. But I don't live in fear with COVID. Zero. I have zero fear right now.
Is it possible you might get sick? Sure. Is it possible? It's possible I can walk outside today and get hit by a bus, folks. Like, we're living in this scarcity mindset, and we're creating our own internal oppression here. And if you talk to my parents, I'm like, how you guys? They're like, we're great. We get to be at home all day. We get to hang out with each other. It's an amazing time for them because it depends on what you focus. So the whole idea of tethering to faith instead of tethering to the world. I see that you're very in tune with that piece, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So see, everybody in the world, and this is something else that my mentor taught me. He says, everybody wants their life to be a masterpiece, right? To be perfect, flawless, no hardship, no hurts, nothing. Everybody wants their life to be a masterpiece, but nobody wants to master peace. You see? That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. And how do you master peace? Where does it start? Right here, and right here. So I will not attach my internal peace, my internal fulfillment, my internal happiness to an external factor, right? It's kind of like that, that Instagram model, right? That she's just like, I'm going to post a picture of myself, and depending on how many likes, that's going to be my mood for the day, right?
Self-worth too.
Exactly. Can you imagine? So what's going to happen when you're 40 or 50 and you're a little wrinkled and you're no longer this hot thing that you once were? How are you going to feel then? Miserable?
Yeah.
That's why you can never attach your happiness, fulfillment, your peace to an external factor. It's all in here, man. And I'm not any kind of Buddhist, aside from, obviously I'm wearing this, but these are what you call earth stones. These are earth stones, right? They just keep you grounded. As you can see, I got them all over the place, right? So I don't attach my internal peace and happiness and joy to an external factor. I don't attach it to the government. I don't attach it to COVID. I don't attach it to the amount of money I have in the bank. I don't attach it to who thinks I'm who and what they think of me. It starts with me and it ends with me. Yeah. Period.
That's right. Folks, this is powerful stuff. See, when you start thinking this way, people say, what's the secret? What's the thing that gets you going? Like, why are you so excited? Where do you get all your joy? Where do you get all your energy? I'm telling you, it's because you're living in peace and harmony. You're living in a mindset of abundance. It's so much easier to create and live in abundance because we were created by the Creator to create. We weren't created to imitate or copy or live in fear, but we got to understand we live in a world where there is sin. We live in a world where, so many people serve the flesh, and the flesh is, it's tough. It is tough. But when you focus on the spirit, that's why for me, this whole thing about making money, creating wealth, it's an all-inclusive package, mind, body, spirit. You got to focus on your mind every day. Focus on your relationships with the people in your life that truly matter. You got to focus on your body every day, because if you don't represent your body, you don't take care of this, you're basically saying, I don't care about what I have, what I've been given to take care of. We are a steward, brother. So I want to touch on this here. We are a steward of what we've been giving. So if you want to manage millions of dollars, start managing the $6 in your bank account today. And if you manage that with stewardship, God will give you more. That's the way I see life. And then when you have millions of dollars to manage, you see it as if it's not even yours. So you don't make foolish decisions. Talk about stewardship, man, because I know you feel the same way I do about this piece.
If God would have gave me success and financial success, at least, right? Because the highest form of success is happiness. That's the highest form. Everybody's always like, think about it. We're growing up. We're like, okay, what represents success? When will I be successful? Oh, it's when I have that big house and I have that nice car, right? That's, 95, 99% of people, that's what they think. They're like, oh, if I'm rich, I'm successful. Absolutely. How many miserable, disgusting, rich, financially well-off people do we know that are absolutely miserable, that have broken homes, that don't get to see their sons or daughters, that the wife hates them, and they're just like, they have different escort girls or, different dates, and they're out drinking. And, how many of those people are out here in the world?
It's lots of people, man. Yeah, there is.
Absolutely. So people confuse success. They confuse success and they attach it to a monetary symbol, right?
Yeah.
So that's not the case at all. The way that you have to steward money, you have to prove to the Creator, right? literally God, where do you think, like, abundance, he wants you to live do you think that the God that we serve, and I'm not preaching a prosperity gospel here, right? Do you think that the God that we serve wants his children to live in poverty, to live in bondage, to suffer, right? The God that we serve is not that kind of God. Yeah. It's not that kind of God at all. You've seen it happen in history over and over and over. Some of the most wealthiest people, some of the most wealthiest kings of Israel literally were put on the throne through God. I mentioned some of those kings earlier, right? Saul, Solomon, David, right? So that's what people need to understand, that if God's going to trust you with a little bit, he's going to see, he's going to test you, because he already knows, but he wants to test you, right? Because like you said, there are two teams on this playing field, right? So he's going to test you, and he's going to see what you do and how you behave, right? Okay, I'm going to give my servant, my son here, this amount, and let's see what he does. Oh, wow, he was a good steward. He really played that right. Well, let me give him a little more. Oh my goodness, he's doing really well, stewarding the blessings that I'm bringing him. Let me give him a lot more, right? And that's the way that works. And we both know that money only amplifies the person you are. If you're a good-hearted, giving person, what do you think you're going to do when you start making an excessive amount of money? You're going to impact the world. You're going to turn into philanthropy. You're going to help and serve so many other people, right? Because listen, I don't care who you are. If you have a good heart and you want to serve people, that's great. If you're broke, you're going to be able to serve 3, 5, 10 people maybe in some way, shape, or form. But if you're successful, you can serve at a much higher level. Right? And like I said, money only amplifies the person that you already are. If you're a piece of shit and for some reason you get your hands on a lot of money, you're just going to be a bigger piece of shit. Yeah.
Money doesn't do anything for you, folks. It really doesn't. And the truth is this, man, when we have our basic needs, our shelter, 1 Ferrari, 2 Ferrari, 6-car garage and all that stuff, when you've reached the top of Maslow's, let's say, hierarchy of needs, the self-actualization, the most fulfilling thing you can do is help other people do the same. The most fulfilling thing you can do is invest in other people, because then it becomes really significant, because you said there's no reason this person should suffer if I don't suffer. You see, this is a natural thing. And I think a lot of people, they look at people that are wealthy and say, oh, this guy's a rich, whatever dick, and this guy's a rich that. And this most generous people I know are wealthy people, because it takes a process and a conditioning, especially when you start from zero. You have to understand, you have to go through a lot of discipline, personal development, self-sacrifice. You've got to go through certain conditions in your life to get to the level where financially you can execute and you've got the confidence to do the things that wealthy people do. When you go there, it's like when I first made $1 million at the age of 30, the money was great, but who I had to become as part of that process was a much better reward for me. Because that's why you can take the money away, dude, and we can go back and create it again. The money isn't the goal. The money is a byproduct of who you've become and how faithful you've been with what you've been given. Would you agree with that?
Yes, let me say this. Money will never exceed the person. Success will never exceed the person, right? Like you said, there's different levels, right? Every different level, you have different devils, right, that are coming after you. And you have to continue to grow and grow and grow at that higher level, right? You're either growing or you're dying. That is just the common, natural thing for every living organism out there. You're either growing or you're dying. So that's what it comes down to, is money will never exceed the person. And for those people out there that are listening, they're like, well, what does it mean by money doesn't exceed the person? That means that you have to create so much value in here and in here that you're like, I can already tell you right now, the person I am right now, right? I've already exceeded the amount of income that I receive every single month.
Yeah.
You get it? So now that has to catch up.
That's right.
Money is now chasing me to catch up to the person I am already. That's just, people don't understand that. They just don't understand that. So
who's your master, man? Are you like a lot of people, they worship and idolize money. It's their master. And the question is, have you mastered money? Like, money should be serving you. Your business should be serving you and your lifestyle so that you can use it to amplify and do amazing things for the world and give glory back to God. The business has to serve you. And listen, folks, you only have to develop these skills and mindset and stay there one time. Get there one time in your mind. If you can make $1 million a year, you can make $100 million. It's a recipe that works, right? If you get one successful business, you can have 25 successful businesses like you. But you have to go through the journey. Listen, my daddy says it takes friction to polish stones. If you're not willing to go through some friction and willing to challenge your limiting beliefs about what you think the reality of life is, listen, right now, 3 weeks ago, your 9-to-5 job was your reality. And maybe you tethered your whole identity to that job. And now you're sitting at home, you're angry and bitter and upset. And I got to tell you, listen, you got to change. You have to change the way you believe about the world, because the world is not here to feed and nurture you. You have to go and get it. God's given you the opportunity. If you live in Canada and the US, I'm sorry. I cannot have a lot of sympathy for you if you don't want to work. Like, there's so many opportunities in life, but the old industrial age is now colliding with the technology age, and you got to catch up. That's the way the world works, is you have to catch up at some point. But if it's there, brother, it's there, Carlos. So all you need to do is put it in. Am I right? Like, just put it in.
I have a here. I was actually talking about this earlier, right? So let me tell you something about for those folks out there that are saying, they're thinking like this. Their mindset is, I gotta get to $1 million. I gotta get this money. I gotta make this amount of money every single month. Blah 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 blah. Right? Yeah, a lot of people have that hope, and don't get me wrong. Let me tell you this. You spend so much time, so much of our lives chasing money. Think about this way, right? You're 30 years old. You've chased money 25, 26, 27, 28 years, whatever, even 29 years. And then you get there and you start making 6 figures net to your pocket. That's not even like gross from the businesses, right? That's net. That's what you're paying yourself out every single month.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, all right, so let's just say, okay, I made 110, I made 120 this month or whatever. And then you go through 4 to 6 months of paying yourself or making that amount of money to your, that's not even like the businesses, right? Let's just say the businesses are making a few mil, whatever, or hundreds of thousands. And you're like, why did this get old so quick? Why did this? I spent 30 years chasing this goal. Why after 4, 5, 6, Lord, what are you doing? Why can't I savor this moment for a little longer? Why can't I feel fulfilled for a little longer? I've given 97% of my life, 99% of my life to being in this position, and now you're gonna make this old for me? That, like, right? It's kind of like if you eat steak every day, right? If you eat steak once a month, every time you eat steak, you're excited, right? But if you eat steak every single day, you're like, wow, that sucks. I'm not really looking forward to this anymore. The same concept when it comes to reaching that financial goal is, holy shit, I spent this amount of time chasing money, and now that I have it, it became old so quick. What's next? Yeah. How can I fulfill this now that I accomplished what I needed to accomplish on the financial side? What's next? How do I continue to grow? Now, you cannot base your growth on finances. You can't say like, well, I made 5 million this year. I'm gonna shoot for 7 mil next year, right? No, that's not the way this works. A lot of people have that misconception. No. If you continue to grow, you as a person, you as an entrepreneur, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna build this business, I'm gonna try this business. You continue as entrepreneurs. We build solution-based businesses, right? Yeah. So there's a need out there. Boom. Right. So let me tell you this. All right, I'm going to build this and this and this. You start building all these businesses, and then now it's not really like, my next goal is to make 7 mil. Now you have all these businesses you're building, and now you surpass, you're like, okay, my business is bringing 10, 15, 12, $20 million a year. See how you see the power behind that, where if you focus on creating and building, because entrepreneurs, that's all we are. We're creators.
That's right.
We generate something out of nothing. We create money out of air, out of the air. We literally create money out of the air, right? We don't depend on clocking in and clocking out, and you know what I mean? Like, we don't depend on that. We go and we make it happen. Like you said, we generate it, we create it. We're creators, okay? We're creators. We're almost like artists when it comes to, financial financial, in business, you know how like an artist will sit there and create a beautiful piece of art. We sit there like that whatever you have back there with the dollar signs, right? Well, what we do is we create businesses, and those businesses create money. So we're creators. That's all we are as entrepreneurs.
So we're saying we're not chasing the money. You're building and creating something amazing that provides value to the world. And as a result, the world acknowledges you. And that's how they compensate you, is with more money. Folks, that's 100% true. So do the things that you love. Do the things that inspire you. Do the things that drive passion. Try to figure out your calling in life. And for me, it starts with a relationship. It starts with going to the Almighty and saying, hey, what am I here for? But it takes some self-reflection. So if you're lost right now, friend at home, I just hope this entire conversation, is a blessing to you. I hope it's been an inspiration to you. And I hope that, just seeing somebody else go through the journey, you recognize that, you know what? It's possible for you too. It's possible for you too, regardless of where you're at, to start today with the smallest minutia of decision and say, I just want to make this happen. So Carlos, as we wrap up, brother, what's next for you, man? Like, is it more business? Is it impact? I know the all-in thing is so amazing. I know we're kind of running out of time, and that's such an amazing piece that I've been watching grow. What is next for you, or what do you feel called to do here as you move forward?
So my goal is, my goal or my purpose is to continue to advance the kingdom, right? Kingdom first in everything, right?
Yeah.
Kingdom first and foremost. And I feel like God's putting me on a platform where it's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because I have the capacity and I can actually handle it without being corrupted, right? What's next for me is for me to be omnipresent so I can reach more people and impact more lives. Now, might I create like 20 to 30 to 50 more businesses along the way? Maybe, right?
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure.
That's okay if that's what God wants, if that's what he has in mind. We have a few businesses that are actually launching. We have some, we're becoming a tech company where we have some software that's launching and things like that. Again, real estate is our bread and butter, off-market discounted properties acquisitions. That's our bread and butter. But, we don't discriminate. We're serial entrepreneurs, solar company, medical company, digital marketing company, magnusdigital.com, cold calling company. I mean, you name it, we have it, right? So again, my goals are simple. Do you notice how my goals are not attached to a monetary goal, right?
That's
a monetary financial goal. I said, I want to be omnipresent. I want to reach more people so I can impact more lives. That's it.
I love it. And the businesses are just the conduit to get you there.
That's going to happen. I already know the formula. As you continue to bring more value to the world, God has a way of rewarding you in his own way. So whether that means with health, whether that means with family, whether that means with happiness and fulfillment, peace of mind, joy, or, financially, whatever, God is the best investment you can ever make, ever.
I love that. Hey, it's Ben Humble. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what my guest is talking about and you're getting massive value from it, then scroll to the bottom, open up the description, and follow them on social media. Support them, connect with them. Just scroll down there, click the link, and let's roll. Stay humble. Man, this has been such an amazing conversation. I don't get very often to sit here and just rap about Christianity and faith with a fellow brother. So this has been a joy for me to be able to have this conversation live. And folks, guess what? We're allowed to be public about our faith. Don't hold back. I get people say, man, it's so awesome that you're so public about your faith and you're a business owner and, you're a speaker and all this stuff. It's like, listen, be public about what you believe. If other people are allowed to be public and entitled to their opinion, so are you. You don't have to hold back.
We wouldn't have any of the things that we have if it wasn't for our Creator.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So why are we not going to praise him and glorify him in everything?
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit who. If someone's offended by it, hey, I'm probably not the guy that you want to follow. Go follow, go follow Jordan Belfort.
Yeah,
and
maybe not quite Jordan Belfort, but
yeah.
But the point is, people want transparency, man. And I think like if you're asked tough questions, you should get the right answer. Like, hey, why are you so happy all the time, Humble? It's because I love my Lord. That's why I'm so happy. That gives me, it energizes me. And the whole Humble thing is about remembering where you came from and staying true to your commitments to yourself. Regardless of where life takes you, you have to stay true to your commitments and stay true to your path in life. And that's where it all comes from. So, dude, so awesome. I much appreciate you. Where's the best place people can connect with you or follow you Carlos, what's the best spot, man?
Very, very simple, brother. Instagram at Carlos Reyes. Right.
Okay, we got it on the screen there. Boom. Instagram.
That's probably where I'm the most active. At Carlos Reyes. So I think outside of that, I mean, you got just go from there. It would be you can get everything. You can get my YouTube channel there. You can get Facebook, whatever. Like at Carlos Reyes.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.